And now I take immense pleasure to introduce our final speaker for the day, Ankur Warikoo. Mr. Warikoo is a serial entrepreneur, best-selling author, angel investor, public speaker, and one of India's top content creators with a community of over 13 million followers across platforms. He is the founder of WebVeda, an online school for young professionals with over 400,000 students focused on entrepreneurship, career management, and personal growth. Mr. Warikoo has authored 3 best-selling books, which have sold over 1 million copies across 63 countries, with the latest release being Make Epic Money. Previously, he founded Nearby.com and was also the founding CEO of Groupon India and APAC Head. He began his entrepreneurial journey with Accenture Web, co-founding platforms like Gaudi.com, SecondShadi.com, and Jabong.com. Before entrepreneurship, he was a management consultant with Kearney, working across Delhi, Dubai, and New York. He actively mentors startups and continues to inspire all of us with his insights on life and business. Let's extend a warm welcome to Mr. Warikoo.
Hello! Awesome. Well, firstly, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. My first time on this lovely campus. I took a brief walk. It sounds just as pretty as the name is, and all of you seem to be very engaged. I want to get a sense of the crowd. So how many of you are from IIIT-B? Show of hands. Oh wow, who isn't? Okay, never mind. Alright, how many of you have come from outside of the campus? How are the same people raising their hands? हम यहाँ रहते ही नहीं हैं. Okay, first year students, show of hands. First year students, first years. Okay, second year students, third year students. Wow, all sitting in a group. Fourth year students. Yeah, couldn't get less. Placement over here. We're done. All right, and then I would imagine the rest are faculty and individuals. Is there any faculty member here? Oh, you are the only one, sir. Thank you for holding forth. All respect. And then the rest are wondering why they're here. Super! Let's get started. Firstly, as I said, it's always a pleasure to come to Bangalore and take 2 flights, one from Delhi and one then from the airport. Took me 2.5 hours to get to this point, and he was actually staring at me like, "You sure you want to go Electronic City?" It's like, not the same day journey. I was like, "Yeah, bro, I have to go." That's how it is. It's like, oh my God, must be something very important. I said, it is indeed. And then I have to go back to the airport, thankfully tomorrow morning. So I could not make the same journey in the same day. Not possible at all. But I love the city, love the weather, love the people, love the vibe, love the energy, love the judgment which I get when I walk into a third wave with a Windows laptop. It's just incredible how cocooned this wonderful city is, and how tech pro everyone is, and how it's peak Bengaluru, and everyone has an app for everything in life, and they have no idea what to do with a real human if they are in front of them. This is, of course, the flavor of the country, and I love it for what it is. I've been a tech entrepreneur now for 15 plus years. I've seen so much happen in this country. I'd love to share my experiences with you, because most likely you weren't even born when I was going through all of those. How many of you here are below 20? Yeah, crazy. Wow. So you were like born after 2004. 2004. Which is like yesterday. Oh, crazy. I'm 44, by the way. That makes me twice as your age and 3 times the school. So here's what I'm going to do. I have about 18 minutes now after the blabber. I'm going to walk you through very quickly my journey, not because you should know of it, but because I do think there are a lot of lessons that I would love to learn and leave you with through this journey. And then we'll have a quick 5 minute or so, depending on the organizer's Q&A, where you can ask me literally everything under the sun. I grew up in Delhi. We're Kashmiris, but never stayed in Kashmir. Came to Delhi when I was 3 years old, and I'm so glad that my parents moved to a large city because it just gives you a whole new experience that I now today appreciate a lot. And we're from a very, very middle class background. Dad was a sales and marketing professional in the pharma industry. Mom was a primary school teacher in a local school. I have a younger sister who's 6 years younger to me. And we grew up in classic 1980s, 1990s India, the middle class upbringing, almost always in some sort of credit card debt, aspirations to change the orbit that we were born in, struggling to make that happen, just one earning member, the classic upbringing, if you will. And amongst all of that middle classness, if I may say so, I had some very strong ambitions for my life. I don't know where I got it from. My parents also questioned. But very early in life, around 7th and 8th standard in school, I made a plan for my life. And here was the plan. It comprised 3 steps. Number 1, I wanted to become a scientist. I hated engineers, which is not a cool thing to say in this institute. But I was like, engineers, they sold their soul. They were like, we'll read about machines and make money, and scientists are the only ones who devoted themselves to the pure of how it should be done. So I wanted to become a scientist and become a doctoral individual, and I wanted to do it from the US because at that point of time I felt that was the only place one should do their doctorate from. Number 2, I wanted to specialize in space sciences. So I wanted to become a space scientist. And as a space scientist, there was only one place that I wanted to work at: NASA. ISRO was nearly not as cool as it is today back then. So NASA was the place to be. That's where I wanted to be. That was like the FANG would be for all of you, or rubric, if you will. And then goal number 3, step number 3 was, as a space scientist working at NASA, there was only one place I wanted to finally be on: Mars. This is before Elon Musk has come into the picture. He has no idea that he's going to do all the things that he's doing. This is before Shah Rukh Khan in the movie Swades has come back as a NASA scientist to India. So no pollution by Bollywood or entrepreneurial pop culture, true middle class upbringing, aspiration, ambition, go to the US, get a fine education, join your dream place, and then be on Mars. Like Mars today is a tourist destination, but back then was like the place where space research was happening, if you will. So everything that I was doing in life was towards these goals. I remember distinctly every waking second of mine, every waking hour, I was like, I have to do this, I have to do this. I did not give JE like all of you did, because, no, I did. Everyone non-medical gives JE. So I gave JE, did not clear it. I took up physics in Hindu College, Delhi University, which at that point of time I was told was the best university in the country. How did you manage? Well, I was not in an engineering college to start with. Always helps. It's nearly 50-50 ratio. Things that you see in the real world. Yeah, outside of this lovely campus. But I'm a super focused person. Don't get distracted easily in life. I know what I have to do. So while I had this new, completely love episode where we eventually, of course, I said, got married, right? So she was my girlfriend and now my wife. But I was like, no, bro, I know what I have to do. Apply to the US for the PhD programs. That's what you signed up for. So I started applying for the PhD programs, and I got through Michigan State University for its PhD program in astrophysics on a 100% scholarship, which was frankly the only way we could have afforded it because, as I said, we come from a very, very humble background. So we never even had the audacity or haisiyat in nahi that we could pay for our own education, and let alone the US. I distinctly remember Papa taking a 55,000 rupee loan for the one-way ticket from Delhi all the way to East Lansing, where the dreaded college was in the middle of nowhere in America. And now I'm in the US. And as a student who's trained in the Indian education system, I very quickly realized, which none of you fully appreciate, but you will if you were to ever study outside, is that we are taught something that nobody else in the world is taught. And that is how many days before the exam do we have to start studying? It is an art, I'm telling you. We are told last 10-year question papers, answers, here is what the syllabus is, here's what's most likely going to come, here is what you have to prepare for. It is a clinical science that we are trained on. And I thought everyone in the world gets this training. No, bro, only we get it. Not the Chinese, not the Koreans, certainly not the Americans. So I was killing it. 18 years of my training in school and college to this, and I am top of my class. My professors love me, my students hate me. It was this insane vibe that I had around me. And you would imagine that in the middle of all of this, I'll be like, I'm living my life. This is exactly what I wanted to do, the way I wanted to do it. But I wasn't. I was incomplete. That's the best word that I can use. I was really good at physics, by the way. Really, really good at physics. So I could get it in my sleep. I could solve the most complex problems and so on. Maybe win the Nobel Prize one day, who knows. My mom always kids about it. Like deviation. Every year the Nobel Prize in physics is announced and she stares at me. But she's like, no, she shits on me today. Like, you could have been that. I'm like, Mom, I'm 44, I have 2 kids. I do have a following and a repute in society. But she's like, but you don't have a Nobel Prize in physics. So moms, of course, in general will never leave that ambition that they had for you. I was really good at physics, but it didn't make me happy. And it was for the first time it struck me, which will be a revelation for you also as you move along in life, that what you're good at and what makes you happy could be 2 distinct things. They could be 2 different things. Needed to be the same. And when I figured that out, I was just shocked. I was like, I have to do something about it, bro, because this is clearly not going to work out. And I had 2 choices. One was continue doing what you're doing, and because you're good at it, you will actually get everything that society calls success. Everything, because you're good at this. So you can fake your way through happiness, and you can get everything that is materially successful, that space scientist, maybe the first man on Mars, all that. But the other choice was go and pursue what makes you happy. And I didn't know what that could be. I had no idea. But I knew that if I wasn't happy doing something, I could never be the best at it. I could never be the best at something that I'm not happy doing. So I decided at the age of 24 to drop out of my PhD and come back to India. And you can imagine how that conversation went with my parents. They're like, what the F is wrong with you? They didn't use the word, but in their head, that's exactly what they were saying. Like, what is wrong with you? For 8 years, you've been just hammering us, NASA, space, PhD, blah, 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 and now you're giving us this completely random theory. Oh, I'm good with this, but I'm not happy, whatever that means. So they didn't get it, and much like Indian parents, they began to have these very cute negotiations with me. And the result of one such negotiation was a phone call where they were like, hey, it looks like you want to come back, and you're an adult, you can decide that you want to come back. Thank God, हमारा पैसा नहीं लगा हुआ है. So, it's okay. I may use a little bit of Hindi here and there, but you wouldn't lose any of the essence of the story. But you don't have to drop out of your PhD to come back. Why don't you finish your PhD and then come back? And when I heard that, I was like, I have heard this before. And then it struck me that in class 10th, my parents told me, why don't you study for this 1 year and you will never have to study ever again in your life. And then in class 12th, they told me, why don't you get to a really good college and your entire life will be taken care of. And they're telling me the same thing again. Basically, they don't know what's going to happen if I finish my PhD, but they just think that something will happen that will take care of my life. And I didn't want to make hope my strategy, so I did listen to my parents, and I came back to India, and I'm 24. Most of you are not 24. You have no idea what it means to be 24. But I can tell you what will happen at 24, which most likely is happening to you right now as well. Life is just moving past you at supersonic speed. And I had my friends from school and college, they'd gotten good jobs, some of them had gotten cars, the phones had just released, they'd gotten phones, some of them were really excited, they'd gotten married, some of them were even more excited, they were having kids. And I'm like, bro, when 24 ka, like I have just dropped out of education. I don't even know where my life is. And all of my friends were like, bro, you're confused. So why don't you do what most confused people do? Go get an MBA. And for all of you who think you will go for an MBA, here is the holy truth. Nobody goes for an MBA because they know what they want to do in life. They only go to do an MBA because they have no idea what to do in life. And I've seen so many of my friends go for an MBA in 2 years, CAT, MAT, ZAT, and I didn't know whether that was the right thing for me or not. And as luck would have it, I come across this rather young school. It's 5 years old. It's an insanely expensive program. But it's a 1-year MBA, which was the first time in India. It had never happened before. Usually programs in MBA were 2 years. And the best thing, according to me, for that program was, if I did get through, my batchmates would be people who had real work experience. Because I had zero idea about the real world. I was a geek, I was a nerd, I still am to a great extent. So if you ask me, hey, who are the most important men and women in the world? I'd be like, yeah, Madame Curie, Isaac Newton, Einstein, that's it. My entire world was just physics. I was just consumed by it. So for me to spend time with people who had done sales and marketing and IT and HR and technology and operations, supply chain, I thought would be the best way to learn. So I decided to apply to the Indian School of Business. And God bless the person who saw my application and thought that I was worth it, because that 1 year at ISB just completely changed my life. It changed everything about my life. And I think the big reason was, while I went to ISB looking for a job and a career and a brand and a company and a package and all of those things that we all look for, I went to ISB looking for myself. Who am I? What am I good at? What am I not good at? What are the things that I should or should not be doing in life? And I needed answers to those questions, which I found and I will share with you. I also found out while at ISB there is this really cool profession called consulting. And consulting pays you a lot of money to work with very smart people on business problems. And I was like, that's the best way for me to launch my career, because I will get to learn so much in a short period of time. So I started preparing for consulting jobs and I got through a really good consulting firm. And I had a ball of a time in consulting. Just so thrilling, working with super smart people, really complex business problems, everything that was happening, flying business class, staying in 5-star hotels, and of course, earning the kind of money that I was, and working with such supremely intellectually driven and talented people. And one fine day, I am meeting a friend of mine from business school, same batch. And he's like, yeah, I've started this new website, and I wanted to talk to you about it. I said, sure, what's it called? And he said it's called secondshadi.com. And I was like, is it what I think it is? He's like, yeah, man, it's a matrimonial website for remarriages. There's so many people who get married in India, so there are bound to be people who get divorced and widowed. This is a platform for them to get married again. And I was like, that is such an incredible idea, bro. How did you think about this? He's like, no, my dad thought about this. So as much as you can clap, I couldn't. While in my head, I was like, uncle and auntie, marriage, God. But I had to express my excitement in any other way. I was like, that is so amazing. This is so good for uncle. Is there a way that I can help? And he was like, yeah, man, I'm an engineer, I'm a coder, I'll build this thing out. Ek to engineer coder ko lagta hai, they can build anything out. Which is true, I shouldn't say otherwise in this forum. So he's like, I'm an engineer, I'm a coder, I will build this thing out, but I think you and I can make a great team. Do you want to do this together? And I was like, yeah, I'll be honest, I'm thoroughly enjoying myself in consulting. Getting to earn so much, working on really complex problems, getting to learn so much about myself. I think it'll be foolish if I give all of that away and join you, but I don't want to say no to this because you don't know what comes out of it. So is it okay that I help you outside of my day job, whatever time I have? And he was very gracious about it, like, sure, let's do that. No strings attached, business-wise. We'll just take it as it comes. So for the next 1.5 years, I had a day job as a consultant, and during night time, I was Batman trying to get people married again. And it actually worked. Second Shadi launched, it got to a reasonable size and scale, and it now required my full-time attention. And at that point of time, I decided to quit my consulting job, take a 80% pay cut down to the bare minimum amount I needed to survive, and join Second Shadi. And you can imagine how that conversation went with my parents. They're like, "Tumhara sach mein dimag kharab ho chuka hai. Why do you every 4 or 5 years keep inflicting this pain? Forget on yourself. Why do you keep inflicting it on us? You are not married the first time yourself. You have no idea what marriage is about. You're going to leave now all of this that you are doing, everything that comes with it, and get people married again the second time. How does this make sense?" And I was like, "Well, Papa, I think it makes sense because I am really good with what I do. I am leaving consulting on a high. And if for whatever reason this doesn't work out, I can always come back. That's what I think. But I don't know if this opportunity is ever going to come back or not." So I again didn't listen to my parents, joined Second Shadi, and we had a ball of a time. This is 2009, by the way. It was not cool to start up in India at that point. Nobody was starting up. The only reason you started up is because you did not get placed out of college. That was the only reason. No sane person was be like, "Hum apna business chalayenge." There was no concept of startup. There was no right pronunciation for the word entrepreneur. Nobody knew what that word meant, least of all spell it. Today is of course so fancy and all of you are like, "Oh, I'm CEO, bitch," but no. Back then it was very different. Not my words. Not my words. Mark Zuckerberg. Not my words. We built several other websites. One of that became an automobile website, which became very early, one of India's largest classified websites for buying and selling used cars, listing of new cars, blah, blah, blah. It's called Gaadi.com, it still exists. And we got a chance to sell Gaadi.com to a large internet company and make a little bit of happy money. There were 3 founders, and after that sale, we went our separate ways. And I was looking for the next thing to do, and I come across this young company called Groupon. And Groupon had just started in the US in 2008, 2009 in Chicago, and they were growing like crazy all across the world. They needed people to start the country offices, India being one of them. So I got in touch with them, they liked me, I liked them, and I started in 2011 the Groupon India business for Groupon. Did that for about 4 years, then it was time for that 4 to 5 year itch to come back in life. Ma Papa had also had a very normal 4 to 5 years of their life. No setbacks, no hiccups, no damages from my side. So I was like, well, it's time to rock their life as well. And I just realized that what I was doing for Groupon would never amount to something big because Groupon was very busy with the US and European markets, which were the 2 largest markets for it. And I was living the Groupon opportunity in India every single day, and I knew that it was a massive one that we could do something about. So I went to Groupon Global and I said, "I want to buy the Groupon India business from you, and I want to make it independent." And they're like, "Sorry, what are you talking about? You're a 100% subsidiary of a publicly listed company listed in the US. This thing has never happened before." And I was like, "Well, that's not the reason it can't happen. Here is why I think it should happen." And it took about 9 months of convincing, and we were able to convince Groupon that that's the right thing for them to do. And in August of 2015, we bought the Groupon India business from Groupon, made that into an independent entity that became nearby.com. And we started from scratch, new business model, new business name, everything. Did that for a couple of years, then Paytm came along in 2017, and we became a Paytm company. And then in 2019, we became profitable for the first time. And it felt like a great moment, but it also felt exactly opposite to what I thought I would feel. I felt that the day we become profitable, I'll be like, take another 10 years of my life. I'm so in this. And I felt exactly the opposite. I was like, I'm done. This is an adult, it can walk on its feet. I have founders that can take care of it, and I can do something different for my life. I don't know what, but I want to figure it out. 2020 was also the time when I was turning 14, so it felt like a good time, the rounding error that we were like, I will start studying at 5, that kind of rounding error. So, sure, I decided to take a break. I stepped down as the CEO of my own startup, late 2019, and take a 3 to 6 month break, figuring out what I wanted to do in life. And in those 3 to 6 months, March 2020 happened. And it's crazy, it'll be 5 years very soon to the event, where we just thought it'll go away in 2 weeks. Thali bajayenge, it'll be gone. didn't happen. It just stayed for 2 years. We were all locked up and we didn't know what to do, and all of our plans for our life were just out of the window. Everything that we'd imagined for ourselves was just completely different from what we had to do. And that was true for me as well. Now it's 2020, I was staring at a blank canvas when it came to my career. I didn't know what to do. I had no plans, no goals, exactly the way I was when I was 24. And I had no money as well, because all of my savings had gone into nearby, and I'd never drawn any money out. So I was a paper millionaire, owning the kind of stock that I did of nearby, but I had zero money in the bank, because I just did. Everything had been given away to nearby as well, my startup. And at that age, I had to reimagine myself. So who you see today, and you so warmly and so lovingly welcome, it's very easy to conclude that, oh, happened in the last 4 years, social media, influencer, YouTuber, Instagrammer, author. But the truth is, nothing good in life happens overnight, including your own success, including where you are in life. All of these are the seeds that you plant over a period of time. And I've asked this question a lot of time: how did I get here? Why am I standing here? Why are you listening to me? Why am I in any manner worthy of anyone's attention? And I think I have an answer, which I want to share with all of you today, because I think that could set you up in many positive ways and help you. And that is taking you back exactly 20 years. In April 2004, I came back to India from the US. And when I did, everyone in my world gave me one really solid piece of advice. They told me, to win in life, you have to have a plan. It's not an advice I could disagree with. To win in life, you got to have a plan. But they also knew that my plan had gotten shattered. I had a plan for my life. It was a kick-ass plan. It was a plan where I would rule the world, become the first man on Mars, do all the things that I wanted to do, and it was a plan that I was doing well on. It wasn't a dream, an ambition, something which could only happen in some imaginary world. I was actually delivering well on that plan. And I crushed that plan with my own hands. So when they told me to win in life, you have to have a plan, my question was, on what basis do I come up with a plan? I don't have a plan, because my plan is gone. And I don't know myself enough to know what I could do next. So I was forced to ask a very different question. Is it possible to live life without a plan? Is it possible to live life without a plan? And I think I have the answer. And I'm a living example of that answer, that yes, it is possible to live life without a plan. You are listening to somebody, don't clap with you. You're listening to somebody who for the last 20 years, and this is not something which will make me sound cool, it's just a reality, for the last 20 years has not had any goal, any target for his life. I'm like a polythene bag in the wind. I don't know where I will land. I don't know what I could be. I don't know who I am. And that's the best thing about me, because of a certain way that I live life, which is what I wanted to share with you. There are 3 components to living life without a plan. And it could change your life if you start thinking about them with the seriousness that I did. Number 1, go back to your first day of IIIT, or your college, or any other forum that was where you were surrounded by such different people, which you are today as well. You look at people, they're so different from you. They come from different backgrounds, different schools, different way of thinking, different way of dressing, different way of eating, different way of talking, different way of looking, different mindset altogether. And if you remember your first day on this campus, I am pretty sure, without knowing any one of you personally, within the first day, you were looking for people who are like you. You were just hunting for people who are like you. Who's from my city? Who's from my town? Who's from my department? Who looks like me? Who speaks like me? Who took the same train as I did? Some sort of bonding, some sort of collective where you felt you belong. That you are in this similar cohort where you're not competing with each other for ideas or thoughts, but in some way you're homogeneous. And I saw the same thing. I went to ISB, I remember in the first week itself, people were forming these groups. Engineers with engineers, chemical, mechanical, IIT, JE 100, JE 100, Bombay, South Bombay, Bangalore, dance, lawyer. There are these groups that everyone wanted to be part of. And I was like, isn't this the exact opposite of what you should be doing? Like someone has painstakingly put this entire 1100 student group, I'm told, on this campus together for the next 4 years from all across the country, if not the world, and you're still going to hang out with the 5 people who are like you. Get out of here. Your job is to spend time with people who are nothing like you. Nothing like you. You know, those that when you reach the first day on this campus, and you scanned the entire campus, everyone, and you're like looking at some people and going, no. इनके साथ hang out नहीं हो पाएगा. Not my kinds. इनका कैसे हो गया? You're so judgmental AF that you believe there is nothing that you have to learn from that individual. And that is the first step of your demise as an individual. Make it a conscious call, and if you can, from tomorrow invest. Have lunch with a new person every single day from now on. Get to know them. What I can guarantee you is the girls are creeping out already. What? I didn't sign up for that. What you don't fully recognize, and I can tell you with conviction, this group is going to be the biggest opportunity creator for your life from now on. Because this group is going to go on and do in the world, and you were a part of it. But only if you earned your spot. Not because you were in this batch, but because you actually took the effort of knowing people in your batch and understanding where people come from, so that you become a better version of who you are, not a bigger version of who you are. You don't want to become a bigger version of your belief systems. You don't want to become a bigger version of your convictions. You don't want to believe what you believe even more so than what you believe today. No. As people of science, you have to become a better version of who you are. And that will only happen if you spend time with people who are nothing like you. Step 1. Step 2. And I'm not going to name the company, but you may guess this company. It starts with G, and it's a company we all know of. And the fancy thing about G is their office. Super cool offices. And within the office, their free lunch. Because the free lunch at G is like a miracle of humankind. Imagine this hall, and on the perimeter of this hall, imagine stalls, and there is this North Indian food counter, then South Indian food counter, then Italian food counter, then Mediterranean food counter, then juice food counter, then dessert food counter, then vegan, then vegan, then gluten, then all the tons. And it's just this politician's wedding into 3. And it's free. It's just crazy. So one fine day, I'm meeting with a friend of mine who works at G in the Gurgaon office, and I'm standing in line on what is a North Indian food counter. And in front of me is a person who works at G. I was about to call him Jiggler. I was like, that doesn't sound right. And he's wearing this G ka patta, so that's how I can recognize him. So he steps outside of the line to check what the menu of the day is. आज फिर से दाल मखनी है. Which translated is, why do I have to have butter laden, slowly cooked, fine quality lentil soup for 2 consecutive days of my life? And I stood there, stunned. And I was like, what has this guy done in life to be complaining about this? So I came up with a bullshit theory, which I think is true. And that is, when Larry and Sergey, whose full names will not be shared because the company's name will be disclosed, when they started this company, they were like, hey, we'll create what will be the biggest social experiment of all times. Here's how it will work. I'm so sorry, my time's up, so I'm going to just rush through this. We'll get one of the smartest people in a room. We'll call it a company at some point in time. And we'll give them really intellectually challenging problems. But we'll also give them things they didn't expect. We'll give them free food. We'll give them a super fancy office. We can tell them you can wear whatever you want to wear. You can come whenever you want to come. You can leave whenever you want to leave. You want to cycle to work, you can cycle to work. You want to skateboard to work, you can skateboard to work. You want to bring your pets to work, sure, bring them in. You want to get your bird to work, yeah, we'll take the fans off. Anything for you. Oh, by the way, we'll also give you insane amount of money. And over time, all of these individuals will get addicted. They will stand in front of the mirror, pat themselves on the back, and be like, I deserve this. I've worked so hard in life, I cleared JEE, I deserve this. But Larry and Sergey were also statisticians by education. They're like, hey, what's the probability that this is going to happen? It's a non-zero probability that everyone will feel the same way. So let's pick a number, however small. Let's say 1%. 1% will get up every day, stand in front of the mirror, and pinch themselves. And be like, am I really getting to live this life? Am I really getting to live this life? Do I really get everything that this company does for me? I don't think I deserve this. I don't think I've worked hard enough in my life to get here. And that 1% drives the company forward. Everyone else is just filling in a seat. And you know this better than anybody else does in today's world. That because they're just filling in a seat, one day, someone or something now is going to come and take away their jobs. But that 1% cannot be touched because they are not entitled. Now, why do I state this? Because when you are in, oh my, so awesome, IIIT-Bangalore campus, electronic city, it's just so easy for you to start getting entitled. And this is what happens when you get entitled. You start complaining. Complaining about random shit in life that you have no business complaining about. That the internet is so slow, the canteen food is not so good. Oh, is it really slow? I touched a nerve. You just fell into the trap. You're not supposed to clap at this. The canteen food sucks. Like, I had a really edible idli sambar right now from canteen, and my friend who's not going to name was sitting next to me, and they're like, yeah. I'm like, bro, it's really good. It's just a little sweet sambar, but it's okay. And they're like, oh, this company is not coming on this campus. Oh, look at this salary. It's only 63 lakhs. And oh, look at this job offer. It's only flying me to San Francisco and not to Mars. Oh, look at this traffic in Bangalore. Why are we in this hellhole? Oh, look at the Indian cricket team. It doesn't know how to play. Oh, look at this government, this taxes. Oh, look at the US. There is no H1B anymore. Oh, look at this. You're just constantly complaining. From Zomato, Swiggy, coupon codes to shit in life that has nothing to do with your business and life. And that is when you know you're entitled. Which is when you sit on your fancy chair and you tell yourself, I have done what I had to do. I got into this college. I worked hard in my life. I'm super smart, clearly. My IQ is in the top 1%, if not more. And now, the world has to do its thing. So professors, you do your thing. Placement committee, you do yours. Institute, you do yours. Government, you do yours. Trump, you better do yours. And you're just sitting on thinking that you've done everything. And that is when game over part 2. Which brings you to the third and last part. And I'm just going to take this time. Everything around you, this is, by the way, peak Bengaluru victimhood as well. Everything around you is designed for one thing and one thing alone, your comfort. Everything is designed for your comfort. And a large part of it is just your try to be blamed, because you can just go, oh, I'll just code this thing and make this happen for you. So you need a book, click. Clothes, click. Cabs, click. Food, click. Movies, click. Love, swipe right. Whatever you need. Speed of thought, delivered to you at your doorstep. So it tricks you into believing that the purpose of life is to make life comfortable. It tricks you into believing that your only ambition and goal is to be as comfortable as you can in your life. But ironically, when you look at the people that you are inspired by, that you would want to be, that challenge you, that make you believe that you should strive to become them or emulate them, they are on a constant daily basis picking up the path of maximum resistance. They're not picking up the easy path. They are like mavericks saying, what's the hardest thing that I can do? Because I know that even with the lowest probability of success, if I were to win, it will change my orbit forever. But all of you, you're just drowning in this world of comfort that you want to create for yourself. And that happens in college more than any place else. Nobody's going to lie when I ask this question. Because you can lie to me, but not to yourself. How many of you here are scared of public speaking? Show of hands. How many of you here are scared of public speaking? Show of hands. Everyone else is lying because the ones who okay, I'm getting scared. I'm scared of raising my hand in public, so that means I'm scared of public speaking in general. Thank you. So was I. I don't think anybody is born with the art of public speaking. So we all have to build it. But the biggest reason why you can't is because you're scared of everyone sitting there. You're like, oh, if I fumble, if I fail, if I just say something that I shouldn't, if I forget my words, my classmates are going to laugh at me. They're going to judge me. So you want to make yourself comfortable, but not even try. You have 4 years to become a terrific communicator. And you're still going to sit in that corner comfortable of yours and say, I'm not going to try. But one of you, and I hope more than one of you, at some point of time is going to come back and says, you know what? I want to. I want to make it happen. And they will get up on stage and their legs will be shaking, their hands will be trembling, their heartbeat will be racing, they'll be sweating, and they will start speaking. And it's possibly their first time, so they will make a mistake. And all of you will laugh. And in that moment, when your legs are shaking, your hands are trembling, your heartbeat's racing, you're sweating, you make a mistake, and everyone's laughing at you, there's only one winner in the room. And that is everybody else is a loser. Everybody else who's sitting on their comfortable chair and has the audacity to laugh at you for doing something that you never had the gumption to is a loser. And I've said it thrice, but let it go on the channel. And you are the only winner in this room. Make it happen. Not just for public speaking, for anything that you're scared of. Because what I can tell you with conviction, and all the ones who are learned here and my age or beyond will tell you, the world outside, bro, is so cruel, you have no idea. You are in this lovely cocoon where it is so cushioned and pampered, and you think that this is your world. It's not. Nothing that you do here in college, nothing that you do can screw up your life, as long as it's not illegal. Nothing. You can fail in any subject and you'll still win at life. Your first job out of this college could be a disaster, you'll still win at life. You may not get the startup funding that you wanted, you'll still win at life. You may not win or make any friends, you'll still win at life. Nothing that you do, which as a mistake you think will paralyze you or will take your life away, is going to actually take your life. This is the only place where you get to make a mistake and get away with it. So please make mistakes. Don't get comfortable. Don't get comfortable. These 4 years is the period where you genuinely challenge yourself to say, I'm going to become the person that I always wanted to be. And what if I fail? The person laughing at me are just the same ones who want to become the same person. And I'm going to be the one doing that. So when you combine these three things, spending time with people who are nothing like you, doing it in a manner that you never feel entitled, never find yourself complaining, and doing it in a manner that you never find yourself getting comfortable, least of all intellectually comfortable, you have a mix, my friend, where you can actually go and live life without a plan. Because your life will throw you opportunities that you cannot even comprehend for yourself. And as I said, I'm a living example of that. Because exactly 20 years back, if somebody came in front of me, dressed very weirdly, and would be like, hey bro, what's up? I am from the future. Time travel has been invented. As an ex-physics student, you'll be happy to know of this. But do you want to know what's happening to you in 2024, 25? And I'm like, ठीक है बता bro. Like, well, you will have about 15 million people follow you on something called social media, which has not been invented yet, but a really cool thing will sweep the world off its feet. You would have written 3 best-selling books, which will be the best-selling books in the country. You will be the best-selling author in the entire country, making more money selling books than nobody does even in a full-time job. You would run a dream startup, completely bootstrapped, making more money than you know how to spend. You'll be invited by the top colleges of the country and world, addressing their students. You'll be invited by the top companies of the world, paid a lot of money to do so, to address their employees. You'll work for less than 20 hours a week, travel for more than 120 days a year. You will sleep extremely well. You'll be extremely self-assured. People will love you. They'll ask you for something called selfies, which is ridiculous, but it works. And you will be immensely happy. And my reaction to that person would have been, "Jo bhi phuk raha hai, band kar de." Because there was nothing that I could have done to get me to this point. There was no plan, no goal, no target that we could have set that got me here. The only reason why I'm here is not because I'm the smartest person you'll ever meet or the most hardworking person you'll ever meet. It is because I think differently from most people out there. And that thinking has come over time. Something that I want all of you to consider, because if you were to do that, it wouldn't matter if you are a coder or a designer or a product manager. What will matter is when people look at you, they say, oh my God, they think so differently from how the normal world does. And that will be a compliment. Thank you.
Hearing about your journey was so entertaining and inspiring. Now, for the Q&A session, due to time constraints, we'll only have one question from the floor.
Oh wow, just one. Okay, who's the first one to raise their hands? Oh wow, lovely.
Myself Karthik from IIIT Abra student.
Okay, so sorry, I didn't get your name?
Karthik.
Karthik.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Karthik.
So my question is, nowadays many entrepreneurs hesitate due to failure. So what advice would you give them to overcome that mindset?
Oh, so it's not just entrepreneurs, but it's anyone, Karthik. So let me just broad base the question. I think it's a good one, the only one that you can take. How do you deal with failure? Here's the truth. Nobody knows how to deal with failure when they're born. There's no concept of failure. So number one, you have to recognize that when kids are born, they only have 2 fears. Fear of falling, and fear of really high decibel noise. These are the only 2 innate human fears that we are born with. Fear of falling and fear of high decibel noise. Every other fear is learned or acquired. Every other fear, whether it's fear of tigers, it's fear of failing, it's fear of losing money, it's fear of disappointing your parents, all of these fears are acquired. Which means the only way to deal with failure or to understand how to process failure is to practice, to actually do it. So I often say this, failure is a muscle that you ought to build. It's not something that you can just learn from a book or a video or be born with. And here's how you practice failing. Do something every single day where you know you're going to fail, conclusively. Go to a mall and ask somebody for 500 rupees. Go to your professor and say, I need an A grade. When you haven't shown up in class, they're like, are you even from this institute? Go to the boy and your girl you fancy and be like, let's have coffee in the evening. Do something that you know has a very high probability of failure. Why are you doing it? Because nobody is prepared for what happens when you fail. But if we have experienced those emotions enough, we quickly know how to process them. So when somebody rejects you for asking 500 rupees in a mall and you don't know what that rejection will be, they may just walk past you, they may laugh at you, they may say, oh, look at Karthik, they wouldn't know your name, but look at this guy asking for 500 rupees. They may call the cops on you, they may get physical at you, anything could happen. And because you don't know, every single time that it happens, you learn something about how to process those emotions when they happen. And once you process those emotions, you just move on. The beauty about failure is no failure is permanent. The only thing permanent is often our emotions attached to the failure. The failure has gone. It's happened. You lost the race, you failed the exam, you failed the interview, it's over. But our emotions are the ones that make that failure hard because we haven't had the ability to process them. And the quicker you can process, you will know what next to do. If you fail the interview, just prepare harder, apply more. If you fail that exam, just study harder, give it one more time. If you fail that exam or that subject or a cold email or an interview or that job or that love affair, whatever it is, you always know what next to do. The problem is our emotions that hold us back because we're still processing that failure. So make failure a muscle. Do something that you know you will fail at every single day. You'll get so used to processing it, you will be ridiculously ahead of everyone else who's encountering the same failure. Got it, Karthik? Awesome. Lovely.
That was an incredible reply, sir. To wrap up, I'd like to invite Siddharth to come up and present a memento as a token of our thanks.
Thank you so much, Siddharth. Thanks a lot. Oh wow, that's a image of mine. Thank you. I love this here. The security at the airport will be like, wow, you narcissist. Carrying your own image in our others. Thank you so much, man. Thank you so much, everyone. Quick entry or exit point. I would love to hear from you if there's anything at all that you feel I can help you with. My email is Warikoo, my last name WARIKOO @gmail.com. You may think, email de raha hai, padega nahi. I read all of my emails. I reply to less than 5% because most of them are just terribly written. But I'm sure you'll do a really good job. So just write me an email if there's anything that I can help you with. Do not add me on LinkedIn because I've maxed out. Do not send me a DM on Insta, it's just too much of noise. Well, you wouldn't even know about Facebook, so never mind. Email is the best way, warikoo@gmail.com. All the best. God bless you. Take care. Thank you.